Chapter 2642. The transformation art could only disguise high-level divine power as low-level divine power. It could not disguise low-level divine power as high-level divine power. Why would a person with king-grade divine power disguise their divine power as ordinary divine power? Most people wish that their divine power was of a higher level. Only a small number of people with saint-grade or divine-grade divine power would disguise their divine power as low-level divine power in order to not attract attention. However, such people were far too few and far between. Therefore, as Lu Ming had said, a secret skill like the transformation skill was of little value. Not many people would buy it. The shopkeeper's expression changed. He knew that Lu Ming had a point. 50,000 divine crystals. I don't want any more than that. I'm just curious. Lu Ming shook his head and was about to turn around and leave. Wait a minute, sir. 50,000 it is. I'll sell it to you. The shopkeeper quickly stopped Lu Ming. Lu Ming smiled and took out 50,000 divine crystals. He handed it to the shopkeeper. Then, the shopkeeper went into the depths of the shop. When he returned, he took out a jade token and handed it to Lu Ming. Lu Ming took it and scanned it with his spiritual consciousness. It was the transformation art. It's done. Lu Ming was delighted. After putting it away, they walked out of the shop. Next, they walked around for a while. Xian Yinqing, Tong Shi-er, and Dandan bought some things they needed. As for Lu Ming, he bought a few books that introduced some divine elixirs and returned to the inn. After returning to the inn, Lu Ming took out the books on divine pills and read them carefully. Xian Yinjuan walked around alone. Soon, she came to a tall building. Those who were experienced would know that this was a famous place to gather information on the myriad spirit star. This was opened by a terrifying force. This force's strength spread across half of the primitive universe. A lot of information could be bought here. Xian Yinjuan walked in and was immediately greeted. Miss, how can I help you? A middle-aged woman asked. I want information, Xian Yinjuan said. Excuse me, is this news from the Qintian starfield or from another starfield? The young woman asked. Other starfields. Xian Yinjuan. Those from other starfields, please follow me. The young woman led Xian Yinjuan into a room. Half an hour later, Xian Yinqing left the building with a frown. On the myriad spirit star, a storm was brewing. Some of the smaller forces had already started to meet with some of the lower-ranked geniuses, hoping to rope them in. In. Damn it. Those trash from the righteous army actually managed to enter the top 100. Damn it. Kong Long roared, his eyes filled with jealousy. At the side, Situ Xiao was about the same. This time, the righteous Sky Army actually had 5 people enter the top 100 of their respective regions. This greatly exceeded their expectations. As for Konglong and Situ Xiao, they didn't enter the top 100 of their respective regions. Now, if they wanted to join the Qintian 13 sects, they would have to rely on luck. Don't worry, as long as I join a sect, I will definitely recommend you guys. Situ Feng said faintly. Thank you, big brother. Situ Xiao was beaming with joy. Thank you, brother Situ. Konglong also thanked him repeatedly. This time, it was fortunate that Situ Feng was here. Not only did he enter the top 100 of his region, but his ranking wasn't low either. Entering the Qintian 13 sects was something that was set in stone. Feng, you have to perform well in the second round. Only by performing well will you be valued by the Qintian 13 sects. After joining, your treatment will also be better. Situ Haonan warned. I know. Situ Feng nodded, his eyes revealing a strong battle intent. This time, he wanted to amaze everyone and walk out of the chaotic astral river. The Qintian starfield and even the primitive universe were his stage. North of the myriad spirit city, on a mountain. This was the gathering place of the Tiger Men. At this moment, a roar could be heard from the mountain. Hu Mao, and you, Hu Gu, with your talent, why didn't you enter the top 100 of the 20th region? What's going on? Hu Ya's eyes were like lightning as he glanced at Hu Mao, Hu Gu, and the others. Hu Mao and Hu Gu were usually arrogant, but in front of Hu Ya, they were like mice that saw a cat. When Hu Ya glanced at them, they shuddered. It's all because of that brat, that bastard from the chaotic astral river. Hu Mao gritted his teeth and told Hu Ya about Lu Ming. Chaotic astral river? I didn't expect that there would be such a genius in the chaotic astral river. However, no matter who he is, he must be punished for killing the tiger men. Don't worry, don't let me meet him in the second round. Otherwise, I will make sure he dies miserably. Huya said coldly. If it wasn't for the rule that he couldn't attack other participants during the assessment, he would have used his power to find Lu Ming and kill Lu Ming. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. In these few days, Lu Ming had finished reading a few books that introduced divine pills. He also roughly compared the divine pills that he got from the heavenly god's cave. The divine pills in the cave weren't of high grade, otherwise, the heavenly god wouldn't have left them there. There were healing pills, detoxifying pills, and pills that could enhance cultivation. Among them, there were 2 types of pills that interested Lu Ming the most. One was the spirit congealing pill. The other was the spirit strengthening pill. The spirit congealing pill could speed up the fusion of 10,000 yuan, allowing the void transformation realm to enter the demigod realm faster. This was exactly what Lu Ming needed now. The other type was the spirit strengthening pill. This divine pill was extremely helpful for the void god realm. After the void god realm took it, it could increase their divine power and increase their cultivation speed. Among them, there were 2 bottles of spirit congealing pills with a total of 18 pills. There were 6 bottles of spirit strengthening pills with a total of 54 pills. Lu Ming gave Xian Yanjuan, Tong Shi and Dandan a bottle of spirit strengthening pill each. This way, it could speed up their cultivation speed. He kept 2 bottles for himself. Crunch, crunch. At the side, Qiuqiu was hugging a mysterious fragment and munching on it happily. Lu Ming smiled and took out a few more divine weapon fragments and threw them to Qiuqiu. As for himself, he took out a spirit congealing pill and swallowed it, beginning his cultivation. A month's time passed in the blink of an eye. On this day, the jade token shone again and brought them into the dream space. It was still the same stone steel forest as last time. There were various different incomplete divine skills on it. This time, they had 2 years to comprehend it. Roar, roar. On the other side of the stone steel forest, there were roars of beasts. This time, it was a little different from last time. This time, in the dream space, there were some training grounds that were filled with countless desolate beasts. Everyone could enter and train. This way, it would be extremely helpful for comprehending and cultivating the incomplete divine skills. Chapter 26:43. The crowd did not move immediately, but instead, they looked at each other. There were 2,000 people in total, and 2 years later, they might all be competitors. All of a sudden, Lu Ming felt a few powerful auras pressing toward him. He turned around and saw a few figures walking towards Lu Ming. Tiger tribe. Lu Ming could tell at one glance that these few people were from the Tiger clan. The leader was a young man who was extremely tall and muscular. He was even taller than Hu Gu previously. There was a domineering aura around him. You are Lu Ming? The few youths from the Tiger tribe stopped in front of Lu Ming, and the young man who was the leader asked coldly. That's right, Lu Ming replied. Very good. You killed many experts from my tribe in the 20th district. You better not meet me in the second round, or else I will make sure you die miserably. The young man from the Tiger tribe said maliciously, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. This kid from the chaotic galaxy offended the Tiger tribe. He's finished. Being targeted by Huya. I'm afraid he won't make it through the second round. Some people whispered at the side. Huya, you're getting more and more useless to target someone from the chaotic galaxy. Your opponent is me. At this time, a rough voice sounded, and a young man who was even more muscular than Huya stepped out. A powerful aura came towards Huya. Jin Sheng, it's Jin Sheng. Someone recognized this young man. He was someone who was as famous as Huya, and also a peerless genius who controlled Saint-grade divine force. Jin Sheng, you and I will have a battle, and this time, the first place will belong to me. Huya sneered. What a joke. You want to get the first place. The first place belongs to me. Jin Sheng confronted each other, and their auras collided. Their bodies were filled with divine force, and a terrifying light flowed out. The two of you are really narcissistic. wanting to get the first place. Do you think you're worthy? At this time, a young man stepped out, forming a triangle with Jin Shang and Hu Ya. Yang Chong, another existence that controlled Saint-grade divine force. Jin Shang and Hu Ya both had serious looks in their eyes. The test this time is about talent and comprehension, as well as combat experience. You won't get first place just because you have a high level of divine power. A cold voice sounded. A young man from the Naga tribe stepped out and joined the confrontation. That's right. Even if one's divine power level is high, it doesn't necessarily mean that one's future achievements will be high. As long as one has divine techniques, there will be plenty of people who will surpass one's predecessors. Another young man stepped forward. Bang! Bang! Following that, powerful auras erupted as more and more young geniuses joined in the confrontation. There were more than a dozen of them. Amazing! They are all ranked first in their respective regions. Someone exclaimed. These youths who had joined the confrontation were all ranked first in their respective regions in the first round. Each of them was full of confidence, arrogance, and conceit. They were not weaker than others. Not only these people, but those who were ranked second and third in their respective regions were also filled with confidence. In the first round, it didn't mean that one was stronger just because they had the highest points. Sometimes, luck was also needed. Some people had low points, but that didn't mean that they weren't strong. These people were also filled with fighting spirit. They wanted to compete with Jin Shang, Hu Ya, and the others. Lu Ming smiled casually and took a few steps back. He couldn't be bothered to compete with these people. It was useless to say anything now. They would know when they fought in 2 years. Then let's fight in 2 years, Hu Ya said coldly. He then glanced coldly at Lu Ming. His body moved, and he led the Naga tribe's prodigies into the stone-steel forest. Jin Shang and the others also rushed into the stone-steel forest and disappeared. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Following that, the others rushed into the stone-steel forest in a flash. This time, there were only 2,000 people. They looked scattered and scattered. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared into the stone-steel forest. However, different people had different choices. Some people rushed into the stone-steel forest to find a new, incomplete divine skill to cultivate. For example, most people would choose an incomplete speed-type divine skill or an incomplete defense-type divine skill. Combined with an incomplete offensive divine skill, the power would definitely be stronger. However, in this way, comprehending several incomplete divine skills at the same time was bound to consume a lot of energy. Some people directly passed through the stone-steel forest and rushed into the other side of the stone-steel forest. They entered the training ground to find desolate beasts to kill and focus on cultivating an incomplete divine skill. As long as an incomplete divine skill was cultivated to an extremely high level, its power would be equally shocking. Everyone had their own choices. Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing separated. Lu Ming wandered around the stone-steel forest. Lu Ming also planned to choose another incomplete divine skill to cultivate. His comprehension was high enough. Choosing another divine skill was the way to go. Not long after, Lu Ming chose an incomplete speed divine skill. This incomplete divine skill actually had a name. Rock Wings Technique. It evolved from comprehending the flight of the rock. Once used, it was like a rock spreading its wings. Its speed was astonishing. Similarly, this incomplete divine skill was divided into 7 levels. Lu Ming carefully comprehended it. After more than a month, Lu Ming finally gained entry. After gaining entry, Lu Ming did not continue cultivating here. He passed through the stone-steel forest and came to the other side. He wanted to enter the training ground to find desolate beasts to kill. This way, his cultivation speed would be the fastest. On the other side of the stone-steel forest, there were huge caves. There were a total of 72 caves that led to different training grounds. These whole emptiness realms were not here the last time they entered. They only appeared this time. Lu Ming casually walked into a cave. After passing through the cave, a boundless plain appeared in front of him. Roar! Roar! On the plain, the roars were like thunder. They could see huge, desolate beasts roaming around. Some desolate beasts were already fighting with some youths. Rock Wings Technique. Lu Ming's heart stirred. He circulated the rock wings technique with the power of a ruler. A pair of invisible wings seemed to appear behind his back, increasing his speed greatly as he rushed towards the plain. Roar! Soon, a desolate beast that looked like a lion, about 10 meters tall, pounced towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not retaliate. He executed the rock wings technique and dodged the desolate beast's attack. He went around the desolate beast and went deep into the plain. On the way, desolate beasts constantly attacked Lu Ming. Lu Ming used the rock wings technique to dodge them. This way, he could train his rock wings technique. As he went deeper, Lu Ming did not know how far he had gone. At this point, he could no longer see any other young elites. At this point, Lu Ming finally stopped. Roar! Roar! In an instant, a few desolate beasts pounced towards Lu Ming. These desolate beasts were not very strong. Some of them were equivalent to level 1 empty god realm. Some were level 2 and level 3 empty god realm. There were fewer of them. Of course, there were level 4 empty god realm beasts or beasts above level 4 empty god realm. Of course, there were even fewer of them. Lu Ming condensed a long spear in his palm. At the same time, he executed the rock wings technique and charged towards the few desolate beasts. The spear radiance flashed and the roars were like thunder. The tough training had begun. With the desolate beasts as training, the speed of improvement of the incomplete divine skill would be much faster. Chapter 26:44. As time passed, Lu Ming's mastery of the two incomplete divine skills deepened, and he became more and more proficient. 2 months later, Lu Ming's incomplete divine spear skill had another breakthrough and reached the 4th level. As for the wings of rock skill, he had also reached the 2nd level. It's not enough. I have to reach a higher level, Lu Ming muttered. To be honest, he still felt a little pressured in this assessment. It was not easy to get first place without exposing his power of sovereign. Jin Shang, Hu Ye, and Yang Chong were all existences that controlled divine powers. Their comprehension was definitely not low. It was not easy to defeat them. The main problem was that Lu Ming's cultivation was too low. Hu Ye and the rest were suppressed to level 1 empty god realm. As for Lu Ming, he was only a 7-star heavenly emperor. In the situation where he could not use the battle character manual, Lu Ming's advantage was not that great. After all, the power of divine powers was extremely strong. Hence, if he wanted to defeat his opponent with a lower cultivation, the incomplete divine skills were of utmost importance. Lu Ming continued to cultivate. Time passed day by day. On this day, a figure suddenly appeared in outer space outside the myriad spirit star. This figure was a middle-aged beauty. She looked to be in her 40s, but she was still charming. She stopped in outer space and looked at the entire myriad spirit star. I didn't expect that there would be a member of my tribe in the Qintian star field. Looks like he's still underage. He should be a descendant of my tribe who was stranded outside. My tribe is already very few in number. Since I've met him, I'll bring him back and train him well. After speaking, the middle-aged beauty took a step forward. In the next moment, she appeared on a street in Myriad Spirit City. Her speed had reached an unbelievable level. Moreover, no one on the street seemed to have noticed how the middle-aged beauty appeared. It was as if she had always been there. Among these people, there were heavenly gods. The beautiful middle-aged woman's gaze landed on an inn. This was the inn that Lu Ming and the rest were staying in. In the next moment, she took another step forward and appeared in a room. This room was Bubbles' cultivation area. Bubbles had been following Lu Ming all the way here and had been cultivating in this room. Bubbles was cultivating with her eyes closed. Suddenly, she felt something and opened her eyes. She saw the middle-aged beauty standing in front of her and looking at her curiously. Bubbles was shocked and wanted to get up and run away. However, she realized that she could not move. She was imprisoned in the air. Her innate talent is excellent, a peerless jade. If she is sculpted, she will definitely be dazzling. The middle-aged woman carefully sized up the bubble. The more she looked, the more satisfied she was. Who are you? Why do you give me a sense of familiarity? Bubbles said as she blinked her eyes. Now, she was no longer afraid. Instead, she felt a sense of familiarity from the middle-aged woman. You and I are The beautiful middle-aged woman smiled, and then her figure transformed swiftly. In the next moment, a space-time spirit mouse appeared in midair. Space-time spirit mouse. The middle-aged beauty was also a spirit mouse. You. Bubbles blinked her eyes hard. This was the first time she saw other spirit mice. She felt closer to them. Little guy, you have never returned to your tribe. Now, I will bring you back to your tribe. That is where you should stay. Your talent can be fully displayed there. The middle-aged beauty turned back into her human form. Follow you back to your tribe? Aye, Bubbles mumbled. To be honest, she really wanted to follow the middle-aged beauty back to the tribe of spirit mice to meet the other members of her tribe. However, she could not bear to part with Lu Ming. I want to say goodbye to Big Brother Lu Ming before I can go with you. In the end, Bubbles gritted her teeth and said, although she could not bear to part with Lu Ming, she realized that her cultivation was too low. She could not help Lu Ming at all. Even Dandan's cultivation was higher than hers. Therefore, she decided to follow the middle-aged beauty back to her tribe to raise her strength before coming out. Goodbye? That's easy. The middle-aged beauty was overjoyed as she looked around. Hey, there is a world divine turtle here. My tribe has a deep relationship with the world divine turtles. Why don't we bring this world divine turtle back to the world divine turtle tribe? The middle-aged beauty whispered. Then, she waved her hand and brought Bubbles to Dandan's room. At this moment, a jade tablet was floating above Dandan's head. He was cultivating an incomplete divine skill in the dream space. Wake up, the middle-aged beauty said. The jade tablet above Dandan's head dimmed, and he woke up. Nestle, what's going on? Why is there a problem? I am cultivating, Dandan screamed as soon as he woke up. Then, he saw the middle-aged beauty. As soon as he saw the middle-aged beauty, Dandan's hair stood on end. He quickly wanted to retreat. However, just like Bubbles, he found that he could not move. Dandan, this is the senior of my tribe. Bubble introduced the beautiful middle-aged woman to them. So, she is the senior of the spirit mice tribe. Dandan's heart skipped a beat. Little guy, you are not young anymore. You should know a lot of things from your bloodline inheritance. In the chaotic universe, the world divine turtle and the spirit mice tribe have a deep relationship. Are you willing to come with me? I will bring you back to the world divine turtle tribe. The middle-aged beauty said, Yes, of course, I am willing. I am willing. Dandan immediately agreed and nodded quickly. How could he not be willing? As long as he could return to the world divine turtle tribe, he could improve faster. There was no need for him to join the Chintian 13 sects. Dandan, I want to say goodbye to Brother Lu Ming. Bubbles said, All right, say goodbye to that guy. Dandan nodded. Then, the middle-aged beauty brought the two of them to Lu Ming's room. A voice was heard and Lu Ming woke up. What happened? Lu Ming was a little confused. He was fighting with the wild beast when he suddenly left the dream space. You are. As soon as he saw the middle-aged beauty, Lu Ming's eyes narrowed and a thought flashed through his mind. Could it be that this person asked him to leave the dream space? Brother Lu Ming, this is a senior of my tribe. Bubbles pulled Lu Ming's arm and said, A senior of the space-time spirit mice tribe. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He had heard about it from the ancestral Greygon. Several of the top 10 beasts in the Heaven Realm were not native to the Heaven Realm. They came from the chaotic universe. The world divine turtle, the space-time spirit mice, and the holy spirit ants all came from the chaotic universe. Could it be that this person in front of him was a senior of the space-time spirit mice tribe from the chaotic universe? Lu Ming, it's like this. Dandan told him that they were going to return to the tribe with the middle-aged beauty. This is a good thing. Lu Ming smiled. He naturally would not object. Only by returning to the tribe with the middle-aged beauty would Dandan and Bubbles have a better future. Following him would bury their talents. Chapter 26:45. Brother Lu Ming, when I'm successful in my cultivation, I'll definitely come back to find you, Bubbles said reluctantly. She had been with Lu Ming since she was very young, so she was naturally reluctant to part with him. Go. Cultivate well. In the future, I'll come and visit you guys. Lu Ming smiled. Although he was a little reluctant, He also understood that separation was the best choice. Not bad, little guy. You're very talented and have a lot of opportunities. In the future, there might be a place for you in the Eldritch universe. The middle-aged woman looked at Lu Ming as if she could see through Lu Ming. There was a hint of surprise in her eyes. Lu Ming smiled bitterly in his heart. He knew that the middle-aged woman's cultivation had probably reached an unimaginable level. His secret would most likely be seen through by her. I wonder if she found out about the battle formula. Lu Ming thought in his heart. White Fang had once said that the battle formula was an incomparably precious treasure even in the Eldritch universe. Many big shots would fight to the death for it. If the middle-aged woman discovered it, the consequences would be unimaginable. However, at this time, Lu Ming discovered that the battle formula in his sea of consciousness was shrinking rapidly. It became 1,000,000 times smaller than a speck of dust, as if it was afraid of being discovered by the middle-aged woman. Fortunately, the middle-aged woman did not seem to notice anything strange. Little guy, you're fated to be with my clan. I'll lend you a hand. After saying that, the middle-aged woman waved her hand and a stream of energy entered Lu Ming's body. Immediately, Lu Ming felt that all the energy in his body was about to condense into one and ignite the divine flame. Thank you, Senior. Lu Ming thanked her. He knew that she was helping him. We'll meet again if fate wills it. The middle-aged woman waved her hand and disappeared with Dandan and Bubbles. We'll meet again if fate wills it, Lu Ming whispered. Then, he sat down cross-legged and began to cultivate. Rumble. Sovereign power surged within his body, flowing like a river. Originally, he had a trace of world energy in his body. But now, this strand of power of the world had been completely melted by the power of sovereigns and transformed into the power of sovereigns. The only thing left in his meridians was the power of a sovereign and nothing else. Originally, if Lu Ming wanted to reach this level, he would need a period of time. He estimated that it would take at least 10 more years. However, with the help of the middle-aged woman's energy, he was able to break through. Spirit congealing pill. Lu Ming took out a few more spirit congealing pills and swallowed them in one gulp. Rumble. His sovereign power, with the help of the spirit congealing pill, madly gathered towards his dantian. Then, it continued to compress and compress. Compress even more. In the end, all of the power of the god monarch was gathered in his dantian and compressed continuously. Whoosh, whoosh, when it was compressed to the limit, the ruler's power underwent an earth-shattering change. A wisp of flame suddenly appeared on the surface of the ruler's power. At first, the flames were small, but soon, the flames grew bigger and bigger until they were burning fiercely. Divine flame. This was the divine flame, a divine flame formed by divine power. Lu Ming had succeeded in igniting the divine flame. Igniting the divine flame meant that he had stepped into the half-deity realm. Whoosh, whoosh, soon. All of the ruler's power turned into a wisp of divine flame. Lu Ming had officially stepped into the half-deity realm. Of course, it was only a wisp of divine flame, so it was not much. Next, he needed to continuously strengthen the divine flame and fill his body with divine power. Then, with the help of the divine power, his physical body would undergo a transformation and transform into a divine body. At that time, he would step into the martial god realm and become a god. Let's test out its power. With a thought, Lu Ming ignited the divine flame. A thin layer of divine power spread out from his palm. Whoosh! Lu Ming's palm sliced through the air, producing an ear-piercing screech. Divine power, the power of a sovereign's divine power, is indeed much stronger than the power of a sovereign. Lu Ming smiled. Although there was only a wisp of divine flame in his body, it was a sovereign's divine power, which was much stronger than the power of a sovereign from before. Lu Ming's combat ability did not decrease. Instead, it increased by another notch. Lu Ming was more confident in the second round of the test. He was only a step away from becoming a half-deity and reaching level 1 empty god realm. Lu Ming was confident that even if he did not unleash the full power of the sovereign's divine power, he would be able to suppress the rest. He still had this bit of confidence. Next, Lu Ming swallowed a few congealing divine pills to stabilize his cultivation. Then, He entered the dream space again and began to cultivate. In these 2 years, they could enter and exit the dream space freely. Time flew by. 2 years passed in the blink of an eye. In the dream space, on the plains of the trial ground. Roar, roar, roar. There were at least a dozen level 4 empty god realm wild beasts that pounced on Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming moved like a rock and easily dodged the attacks of the wild beasts. Then, he thrust out his spear and a dozen spear radiances pierced the wild beasts. Poof, poof, poof. In an instant, the dozen wild beasts that were equivalent to level 4 empty god realm wild beasts were all killed by Lu Ming. The wings rock skill has reached level 6 and the spear skill has also reached level 6. Lu Ming smiled. This was his reward for the past 2 years. The higher the level of the divine skill, the harder it was to improve it. However, Lu Ming had used 2 years to cultivate the 2 incomplete divine skills to level 6. If this speed were to spread, it would shock many people. Lu Ming's comprehension was undeniable. He was definitely the best of the best. Otherwise, when he was in the Heaven Court, he would not have been able to create miracles and control many supreme rules at the same time and cultivate the sovereign Tao. Buzz buzz. At that moment, pillars of light descended from the sky and shrouded everyone. They disappeared, and in the next moment, they appeared on the stone platforms. The stone platforms were suspended in the air, and there were almost 2,000 of them surrounding a huge fighting ring. This was still the dream space. Swoosh. At that moment, a figure appeared in the sky above the fighting ring. This figure was the host who was chosen by the 13 sects to preside over the assessment. At that moment, the empty space in the myriad spirit star was once again filled with people. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the sky. In the sky, there was a huge screen that reflected the situation in the dream space. Through this screen, everyone could see the competition in the dreamland space. In the dream space, the figure in the sky above the fighting ring was a middle-aged man. He looked at the crowd and said, "Since you were able to enter the second round, you are all the elites of the Qin Tian Starfield. You are qualified to join the 13 sects. However, you have to perform well. The better you perform, the more you will be valued by the 13 sects. When you enter the 13 sects in the future, you will be treated better. Do you understand?" The middle-aged man said, "Yes." Everyone shouted and their eyes burned with passion. Chapter 26:46. Although their chances of entering the Qin Tian 13 sects were set, they had to perform well if they wanted to have a better future. If they could catch the eye of an important figure, they might be able to soar to the sky. Everyone's eyes were burning with passion. "Now, let's welcome the seniors of the 13 sects," the burly man said, and then cupped his fists toward the void. Suddenly, a light flashed in the sky. Following that, one figure after another appeared. There were a total of 13 groups of people. Each group had 3 to 4 people. There were men and women, young and old. These were the elites of the Qin Tian 13 sects. Many people were shocked. They secretly swore to themselves that they would perform well later. "All right, you can start the competition now. Initially, there were 2,000 of you, but now, there are only 1,999 of you. One person didn't show up, but it doesn't matter. The competition later will be random. That jade talisman will light up at random. If 2 people light up at the same time, they will go up," the burly man announced. Lu Ming smiled. The person who was missing was naturally Dandan. Buzz, buzz. Suddenly, the jade talismans above 2 people's heads shone like 2 stars. "The 2 of you, go up and fight," the burly man said. One of the 2 youths was from the snakeman race, and the other was a genius from the tortoiseshell race. The tortoiseshell race was similar to humans in other aspects, but they had a tortoiseshell on their back. They were known for their defense. The 2 of them looked at each other, and a cold light flashed in their eyes. Then, they leaped onto the battle stage at the same time and faced each other. Whoosh! The snakeman made the first move. He stomped his feet and charged toward the tortoiseshell race youth like a bolt of lightning. In his hand, a sword light pierced toward the tortoiseshell race youth. The snakeman's attack was fast, accurate, and ruthless. However, the tortoiseshell race youth didn't panic at all. His body emitted a gray divine power. Then, his four limbs and head retracted into the tortoiseshell. Clang! The snakeman's longsword pierced the tortoiseshell, but the tortoiseshell only rolled back twice. It was completely fine. Do you think hiding in your tortoiseshell is useful? Watch me break your tortoiseshell. The young man from the Naga race said coldly as he continuously slashed out with his sword. Sword chi shot towards the young man from the tortoise race. However, the tortoise shell was completely unharmed when the sword light slashed at it. Furthermore, the young man from the tortoise race would take advantage of the moment when his opponent revealed an opening to form a spear and thrust it forward, forcing the young man from the Naga race to retreat. You're the one who lost. The tortoise shell bounced up from the ground and smashed toward the Naga youth like a huge rock. The young man from the Naga tribe could only retreat. Some of the Sky Prides who were watching from the sidelines looked fearful. The defense of the tortoise shell race was simply too astonishing. They were extremely difficult to deal with. Unless one's strength was much stronger than his, if one's strength was on par with his, one would usually not be a match for him. Sure enough, after a few dozen more moves, the young serpent man was hit and sent flying out of the fighting ring. The young man from the Naga race was eliminated. The young man from the tortoise clan had won. Both of them were sent out of the fighting ring. Following that, two more young men lit up and entered the fighting ring to fight. To be honest, those who were able to reach this stage were all experts. Most of the divine powers that they controlled were king-grade divine powers. Only a few of them with extraordinary comprehension could reach this stage with their ordinary divine powers and terrifying incomplete divine skills. The fierce battle continued as the crowd watched. In Wanling City, the crowd could clearly see the battle through the screen. Feng is going to fight. Situhunin suddenly shouted excitedly. Two people leaped onto the fighting ring. One of them was Situ Feng. The Yunfeng Pavilion Master and the people of the Chaotic Galaxy were paying close attention. After all, Situ Feng had taken the top spot in the pagoda test hosted by the Yunfeng Pavilion Master. His performance was the most dazzling, and he was seen as the hope of the Chaotic Galaxy. They all wanted to see how Situ Feng would perform. Make your move, Situ Feng said with one hand behind his back and the other hand condensing a battle sword. You want to deal with me with one hand? How arrogant. Then, you'll lose. His opponent said coldly as a trace of ferocity flashed in his eyes. He rushed towards Situ Feng and punched with both fists. Incomplete divine skill, level 3. As soon as the other party attacked, Lu Ming could tell that this young man's incomplete divine skill had reached the 3rd level. It was already considered good. Incomplete divine skill, level 3? What a piece of trash. Situ Feng sneered as he slashed out with his battle sword. With one slash, more than a dozen sword lights appeared and enveloped his opponent from all directions. The young man was shocked and wanted to block with all his might. However, the sword light in Situ Feng's hand suddenly burst out and the dozen sword lights merged into one. Puff. The sword light disappeared and the young man was split in half. The two halves of his body turned into energy and disappeared. Then, they condensed on the stone platform around the fighting ring. His face was pale and his eyes were filled with fear. Although he would not die if he was killed in the dream space, the feeling was real. If he was killed in the outside world, he would have died. He was terrified. So strong. His incomplete divine skill has already been cultivated to the 4th level, and it is definitely at the peak of level 4. Terrifying, too terrifying. The same level of divine power and the same cultivation level. Ordinary people would not be able to block his sword. Many people discussed in shock. When Situ Feng attacked, many people's faces turned solemn. An incomplete divine skill at the peak of level 4 was already very high. One had to know that the further one progressed, the harder it was to cultivate an incomplete divine skill. Although 2 years had passed since the first round of assessment, most people were still at level 2 and level 3. It was the first time that someone had reached level 4. Moreover, it was at the peak of level 4. He was not far from level 5. Coupled with Situ Feng's king-grade divine power, how many people could be his opponent? Not bad. An expert from the Qin Tian 13 sects nodded with a smile and looked at Situ Feng. The experts from the other sects also looked at Situ Feng a few more times. To be able to cultivate an incomplete divine skill to the peak of level 4 in a few years, his comprehension was very high. Ha ha ha, Big Brother is so powerful. If Lu Ming encountered Big Brother, he would not be able to block his sword. Outside, Situ Xiao laughed. Situ Haonan's face was also full of joy. Brother Situ, congratulations. Just now, the big shots from the 13 sects praised you. It is rare to be praised by the big shots from the 13 sects. Kongji also laughed and flattered Situ Haonan. Although he was jealous, he naturally wanted to be on good terms with Situ Haonan and hold on to this ally. Yes, yes. Brother Situ, with your son's talent, it is normal for him to join one of the 3 overlords of the Qin Tian 13 sects. I'm so jealous. The leaders of the other forces in the chaotic galaxy also praised Situ Haonan. They wanted to take the opportunity to build a good relationship with him. Situ Haonan's mouth was about to split open. Chapter 26:47. Many people looked at Situ Feng with serious expressions. They were thinking about how to deal with Situ Feng if they met him later. Only a few people remained calm and unmoved. Lu Ming, I hope you don't meet me. At this time, Situ Feng looked at Lu Ming and transmitted a message to Lu Ming. Then, he leaped up and flew onto the stone stage. I hope I meet you. Lu Ming smiled faintly and responded, causing Situ Feng's eyes to emit a cold glint. The competition continued. One by one, it was their turn. Soon, it was Xian Yinjuan's turn. Beauty, seeing how beautiful you are, I can't bear to hurt you. You should admit defeat yourself. Xian Yinjuan's opponent was a handsome young man. He looked at Xian Yinjuan mockingly. Swish. Xian Yinjuan attacked directly. Sword light burst forth and enveloped the opponent. The opponent's incomplete divine skill had only been cultivated to the 3rd level. He was no match for Xian Yinjuan. After a few moves, Xian Yinjuan killed him. What a powerful woman! Many people were shocked. She's holding back. Lu Ming's heart trembled. The others were shocked by Xian Yinjuan's strength, but Lu Ming knew that Xian Yinjuan had held back. She hadn't used her full strength at all. Otherwise, she would have killed her opponent in one move. Lu Ming was curious as to why Xian Yinjuan had held back. Given her character, she might have killed the other party who had provoked her in such a manner. The competition continued. Soon, it was Xian Yinqing's turn. Xian Yinqing also seemed to have held back. She hadn't used her full strength, especially when it came to the use of divine power. It made others think that she only controlled king-grade divine power. Next was Tong Shi'er. Tong Shi'er's talent was very high. The king-grade divine power she controlled was also very terrifying. Her comprehension was also very high. She easily defeated her opponent. 3 people from the Righteous Sky Army advanced in succession. The smiles on Kong Ji and Situ Haonan's faces slowly disappeared. Wang. At this time, a bright light suddenly rose from Lu Ming's body. It was his turn to go on stage. Lu Ming took a step forward and appeared on the field. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. His opponent was actually from the 3-eyed race. They looked almost identical to the evil god race of the evil god world. During this period of time, Lu Ming had also flipped through some ancient books and gained a better understanding of the 3-eyed race. The 3-eyed race was considered a big race in the Qin Tian star field and was very strong. Besides, the 3-eyed race belonged to the multi-eyed race. The multi-eyed race was an extremely terrifying race. Even in the primordial universe, it was famous. It was ranked at the top of the primordial universe's 10,000 races list. It was extremely powerful. The 3-eyed race was just a branch of the multi-eyed race. Of course, the 3-eyed race had nothing to do with the Yuan Luo Hall. However, due to the evil god world, Lu Ming didn't have a good impression of the 3-eyed race. Kid, I advise you. The prodigy of the 3-eyed race was ready to act tough. However, Lu Ming couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with him. He rushed forward and swept out his spear. Courting death, the prodigy of the 3-eyed race shouted angrily. He formed a battle axe with his divine power and swung it at Lu Ming. Boom! The battle axe and the spear collided. A total of 9 layers of power exploded from the spear. 9 layers of power was the 4th level of the incomplete spear technique. The terrifying power crushed the battle axe that the prodigy of the three-eyed race had condensed with his divine power. The long spear then landed on the body of the prodigy of the three-eyed race. The prodigy screamed and his body exploded, turning into energy and dissipating. The next moment, he condensed on the stone platform and looked at Lu Ming in horror. He couldn't even take one move from Lu Ming and was killed instantly. 4th level. His incomplete divine skill has also reached the 4th level. Terrifying. Look at his badge. He is also from the chaotic galaxy. What's going on? In the chaotic galaxy, there are actually 2 people who have cultivated the incomplete divine skill to the 4th level. It seems like we have underestimated the chaotic galaxy. Lu Ming's strength shocked many people. Even the big shots of the Qin Tian 13 sects were surprised. Obviously, they didn't expect that the chaotic galaxy would have so many good people appearing one after another. It was beyond their expectations. Originally, they didn't take the chaotic galaxy seriously. They didn't think that there would be any prodigies in the chaotic galaxy. Therefore, in the past, the 13 sects didn't open their recruitment to the chaotic galaxy. This time, it was only because a certain big shot of the Qin Tian 13 sects had said on a whim that the chaotic Star River would also be open to the chaotic Star River. That was why the recruitment of disciples this time was also open to the chaotic Star River. It seems like we should go to the chaotic galaxy more often. Who knows, we might find some good seedlings. The experts of the Qin Tian 13 sects had different thoughts. The 4th level of the incomplete divine skill. Seems like it's not that difficult to cultivate it. Outside, the ancestor of techniques laughed. He deliberately raised his voice so that it could reach Kong Ji and Situ Haonan's ears. Kong Ji and Situ Haonan snorted coldly, their faces dark. If we knew that this kid was so talented, we would have killed him long ago. Situ Haonan gritted his teeth. Back then, at Qinjindao on northern Shang planet, when they were besieging the ancestor of techniques, it was Lu Ming who suddenly ran out and gave the ancestor of techniques a middle-grade rank 7 divine weapon, allowing the ancestor of techniques to reverse the situation. If they knew that Lu Ming was so talented and had become Situ Feng's competitor, they would have killed Lu Ming that day. But now, it was too late. They regretted it. Don't worry. Feng will definitely go further than him. Situ Haonan gritted his teeth. After Lu Ming killed his opponent, he returned to the fighting stage. Many people looked at him warily. Obviously, they saw him as a threatening opponent. Interesting. It's more interesting to kill him like this. When Huya looked at Lu Ming, there was a hint of malevolence in his eyes. The competition continued. Pairs of people went up the stage and fought each other. Most of them used their full strength the moment they attacked, bursting forth with their peak battle prowess. They knew that the people from the Qin Tian 13 sects were watching. The better they performed, the more they would be valued. Even if they were defeated, as long as they performed well enough, they would still be valued. The first round of the competition had a total of close to 1,000 battles. It lasted for half a month before it ended. Apart from Dandan, 1,999 people went through 999 battles. One person advanced to the next round without a fight. In the second round, there were a total of 1,000 people. They continued to fight in pairs. In the second round, the competition was undoubtedly more intense. That was because those who could enter the second round were all experts. A series of great battles took place. Soon, it was Situ Feng's turn. Situ Feng was indeed very strong. He used his peak level 4 divine skill and easily defeated his opponent. Soon, it was Xian Yinjuan and Xian Yinqing's turn. However, the two of them did not use their full strength. They pretended to fight with their opponents for a few dozen moves before they defeated their opponents. Chapter 2648. Not long after Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan, it was Tong Shi'er's turn. After a fierce battle, Tong Shi'er also defeated her opponent. After that, Lu Ming took action and naturally defeated his opponent easily. For example, Hu Ya, Jin Sheng, Yang Chong, Ling Huyi, and the others easily defeated their opponents without any suspense. After the second round, 500 people advanced to the next round. Then, 500 people began the third round. Out of 500 people, 250 people advanced. In this round, Situ Feng also won. However, Xian Yinjuan and Xian Yinqing both lost to their opponents and stopped there. Lu Ming, I'm cultivating a cultivation technique from my previous life. I don't want to reveal too much. After returning to the stone platform, Xian Yinqing transmitted his voice to Lu Ming. Lu Ming nodded. He guessed that Xian Yinqing's previous life, or the current Xian Yinjuan, must have had an extraordinary background. If they did not dare to reveal too much, could it be that they had a great enemy? Various thoughts flashed through Lu Ming's mind. Xian Yinqing would not hide anything from him. However, when it came to his previous life, Xian Yinqing was unwilling to talk about it. Could it be because of a great enemy? The more Lu Ming thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan's previous life must have had an extraordinary background. This was because the past life and present life involved reincarnation. Anyway, as far as Lu Ming knew, not many people could be reincarnated. Could a divine king do it? In the heaven realm, divine ancestor Sha Xian, who was awakened from Lu Ming's bloodline, did not reincarnate at all. That was because divine ancestor Sha Xian did not die at all. He was just a drop of bloodline hidden in the depths of Lu Ming's bloodline. Also, back then, Dandan was not a reincarnation. Dandan had been severely injured and turned into an egg to be reborn. The cycle of reincarnation was simply too mysterious. Xian Yinjuan and Xian Yinqing had reincarnated at the same time in their previous lives. It was very likely that they had a great enemy. Furthermore, their greatest enemy was most likely the Your Wilds universe's greatest enemy. Lu Ming thought of many things. He knew that Xian Yinqing didn't want to say more because he didn't want to implicate him, Lu Shenhuang, and the others. Strength. My strength is too weak. Shao Qing, one day, I will become a top expert in the primitive universe, and you will no longer have any scruples. Lu Ming swore in his heart. After Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan were defeated, it was Tong Shi-er's turn. After a difficult battle, Tong Shi-er barely defeated her opponent. When it was Lu Ming's turn, he also defeated his opponent. Jin Shang, Hu Ya, and the others naturally had no suspense. After the third round, there were 250 people left. Then, the fourth round began. The 250 people fought against each other. At this point in the competition, the battles were undoubtedly more intense. This was because the majority of the participants only possessed king-grade divine power. What they were competing for was their comprehension of incomplete divine skills. In this round, Tong Shi-er finally stopped. After this round, only Lu Ming and Situ Feng were left in the chaotic astral river. The others were all eliminated. After this round, there were 125 people left. Each of these 125 people was a true genius. They were very powerful and attracted a lot of attention. All right, now there are 125 people left. The seniors of the 13 sects know the strength of most of you. Only a few of you still have strength. There is no point in continuing the one-on-one competition. Now, let's change the competition rules. At this time, the middle-aged man announced, "Change the competition rules?" Many people's hearts skipped a beat. Indeed, until now, except for Hu Ya, Jin Shang, Yang Chong, Ling Huyi, and a few others who still had strength reserved, the others had used their full strength in the previous battles. The experts of the Qin Tian 13 sects knew how strong they were and how talented they were. Continuing to fight one-on-one was just a waste of time. Now, there are 125 of you. You will be divided into 5 groups. Each group has 25 people. Next, go up in groups. 25 people will fight at the same time. In each group, the last 2 people on the battle stage will advance to the top 10. The middle-aged man said, 5 groups. 2 people from each group would advance. 5 groups would make it to the top 10. Here comes the exciting part. The people who were watching from the outside were all shocked. With 25 people on the battle stage at the same time, it would undoubtedly be more exciting. Now, those whose jade tokens are lit up, come up, the middle-aged man announced. As soon as his voice fell, the jade tokens on the battle stage lit up. It's my turn. Lu Ming smiled. His jade token also lit up. Lu Ming took a step forward and jumped onto the battle stage. At the same time, another 24 people jumped onto the battle stage. Situ Feng and Yang Chong, Lu Ming looked around and saw Situ Feng and Yang Chong, one of the top 3 candidates. At the same time, Situ Feng also looked at Lu Ming with a cold gaze. Whoosh, whoosh. Silhouettes flickered on the battle stage as many people distanced themselves from Yang Chong. Yang Chong's strength was too shocking. Until now, he had not used his full strength. No one dared to fight with him. Lu Ming, we finally meet. Let's fight. That's what I want. All of a sudden, the 2 figures clashed and began to fight each other. Fight with me. Fight. The 2 of them were like a fuse, and people were constantly fighting each other. Lu Ming. Situ Feng stared at Lu Ming and strode toward Lu Ming. His cold killing intent locked onto Lu Ming. They're going to fight. Lu Ming and Situ Feng are going to fight. Outside, the eyes of many experts of the chaotic astral river lit up. They were all from the chaotic astral river, so they naturally paid more attention to Lu Ming and Situ Feng. They all wanted to see who was stronger between Lu Ming and Situ Feng. Fenger, you will definitely be able to kill Lu Ming. Together with Yang Chong, you will be the last 2 to enter the top 10. Situ Haonan roared in his heart. He was looking forward to it. Whoosh! Situ Feng's divine power surged and condensed into a battle sword. His entire body was like a dazzling sword light as he charged toward Lu Ming. Buzz! Lu Ming formed a long spear with his sovereign energy and swept it out, colliding with Situ Feng's battle sword. There was an intense explosion. As the energy spread out, a figure quickly retreated. It was Situ Feng. Situ Feng retreated. He's not Lu Ming's opponent. Some of the chaotic astral river's experts exclaimed. How can this be? Damn it! Situ Haonan and Kongji roared in their hearts. Their faces were gloomy. Situ Feng, so this is your strength? How disappointing. Lu Ming said coldly. He took a step forward and charged towards Situ Feng. His long spear shook, and dazzling spear lights enveloped Situ Feng. Situ Feng erupted with his full strength, displaying his peak 4th stage divine skill to the limit. However, he was still suppressed by Lu Ming and was forced to retreat continuously. Lu Ming, your strength is indeed not bad. I originally wanted to save it for last, but now, it's time for you to die. Situ Feng's cold voice resounded. As soon as he finished speaking, his speed suddenly increased. In the blink of an eye, he appeared behind Lu Ming and slashed down with his sword as fast as lightning. Baidu Search Translator, Zefizi Editor, Docuino. No advertisement. Chapter 2649. Situ Feng's speed suddenly increased. He appeared behind Lu Ming and slashed out with his sword. The sharp and terrifying sword chi made Lu Ming's skin tighten. Such speed. It's an incomplete speed-type divine skill. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He took a step forward and his body burst forward. Then, he swung his spear backwards. Dong! The spear light swept across Situ Feng's sword chi, allowing Lu Ming to narrowly avoid Situ Feng's attack. That's an incomplete speed-type divine skill. Situ Feng has actually cultivated an incomplete speed-type divine skill. Judging from its power, it has reached the 4th level. Terrifying, truly terrifying. Situ Feng has actually cultivated 2 incomplete divine skills to the 4th level in just a few years. Many people exclaimed. Everyone knew that Situ Feng had been hiding his strength before. What he cultivated was not just 1 incomplete divine skill, but 2. One was an incomplete speed-type divine skill, and the other was an incomplete attack-type divine skill. When the 2 were combined, their power would increase exponentially. Even the eyes of the big shots of the Qin Tian 13 sects lit up. In just a few years, he has cultivated 2 incomplete divine skills to the 4th level. Not bad, not bad. I didn't expect that there would be such a person in the chaotic Star River. A purple-robed elder of one of the 3 overlords, the invincible Kenzo, stroked his beard and revealed a satisfied expression. Ha ha ha, Feng has actually cultivated an incomplete speed-type divine skill. Haha, great. I knew that he wouldn't lose. Situ Haonan laughed excitedly. He was really excited. Didn't you see that the experts of the invincible Kenzo, one of the 3 overlords, were praising Situ Feng. It was obvious that they had their eyes on Situ Feng. There was a high chance that Situ Feng would join the invincible Kinzo. It would be strange if he wasn't excited. Kill him. Kill that brat. Situ Haonan roared in his heart. Lu Ming, you're still far from being able to compete with me. I'm the #1 sky pride in the chaotic Star River. Situ Feng sneered. His figure flickered as he pounced towards Lu Ming. In the blink of an eye, 36 sword lights slashed towards Lu Ming's vital points. The combination of the incomplete speed-type divine skill and the incomplete attack-type divine skill was indeed astonishing, increasing one's battle prowess greatly. Wong. Lu Ming held the long spear in his hand, sweeping out with the momentum of sweeping away 1,000 troops. Bang! Bang! Situ Feng's swordlight continued to crumble. However, Situ Feng's swordlight once again burst forth and slashed towards Lu Ming. In a breath's time, Situ Feng had already circled around Lu Ming 37 times and slashed out 1,086 swordlights. This was the terrifying power of an incomplete speed-type divine skill when combined with an incomplete attack-type divine skill. The combination of the two completely controlled Lu Ming within a certain range, and he could only passively take a beating. This was because your speed wasn't as fast as your opponent's. By the time you launched your attack, your opponent would have already dodged it. However, your opponent's attack would be difficult to dodge. Let's see how many moves you can block. Die for me. Situ Feng's cold voice rang out, and his attacks became even more violent. Situ Feng, is this all you've got? Then, let's stop here. At this moment, Lu Ming said faintly. As soon as Lu Ming finished his words, his figure soared up to 90,000 miles like a rock, spreading its wings and soaring into the sky. Then, Lu Ming swooped down at an astonishing speed. He was one with the spear as he stabbed towards Situ Feng. Fast, it was extremely fast. Many people had an illusion that the current Lu Ming was like a rock, hunting for prey. An incomplete speed-type divine skill, and it's the 4th level of the incomplete speed-type divine skill. Someone exclaimed. Lu Ming had also mastered an incomplete speed-type divine skill. Situ Feng's eyes narrowed, and his battle sword slashed out violently, clashing with Lu Ming's long spear. Break! Lu Ming whispered, and his long spear shook. In an instant, 11 levels of power erupted. Incomplete divine skill, 5th level. At this moment, Lu Ming used the 4th level of the Rock Wings technique and the 5th level of the incomplete divine skill. Of course, Lu Ming concealed his divine power and did not use his full strength. Otherwise, he would not have needed to use so many moves. Even so, Situ Feng could not resist at all. The sword light collapsed, and Lu Ming's long spear pierced through Situ Feng's head, killing him directly. The next moment, Situ Feng condensed out of the stone platform, and his face was filled with disbelief. The 5th level of the offensive divine skill. His offensive divine skill has reached the 5th level. Oh my god. It's actually the 5th level. How is that possible? This is too terrifying. Many people saw the level of the incomplete divine skill that Lu Ming used and shouted in disbelief. At this moment, everyone's eyes moved away from the others and gathered on Lu Ming. This was the first time they had seen someone cultivate an incomplete divine skill to the 5th level. It should be known that they had only had a little more than 3 years. In a little more than 3 years, they had managed to cultivate an incomplete divine skill to the 5th level and another incomplete speed-type divine skill to the 4th level. This kind of talent and comprehension was too terrifying. Many youths looked at Lu Ming with extremely solemn gazes, and only a few people were able to remain calm. So what if your comprehension is high? If your divine power is not high enough, you are still not my match. Hu Yu's gaze became even colder. How is this possible? How is this possible? At this moment, Situ Haonan was dumbfounded. He rubbed his eyes hard, unable to believe the scene in front of him. Situ Feng had just displayed 2 divine skills, and Situ Haonan was extremely excited. He had even laughed heartily, thinking that Situ Feng would definitely win. But in the blink of an eye, Situ Feng had been killed by Lu Ming. Damn it, damn it. How is this kid's comprehension so high? Kong Ji gritted his teeth. With Lu Ming's high comprehension, he would definitely be valued by the Qin Tian 13 sects. If he was put in an important position, wouldn't the Yuan Luo Palace be finished? Damn it! Kong Long roared in his heart. He felt that the heavens were unfair. Why didn't he have such high comprehension? Why did it let an ant in his heart have such high comprehension? At this moment, the eyes of the experts of the Qin Tian 13 sects lit up. A speed-type divine skill at the 4th level, and an attack-type divine skill at the 5th level. Not bad, not bad. He's also from the chaotic Star River. This is really unexpected. He is a good seedling. The experts of the Qin Tian 13 sect spoke one after another. Even the experts of the 3 overlord forces were tempted. To be able to receive such an evaluation from the experts of the Qin Tian 13 sects, the eyes of the other young geniuses turned red with envy. Lu Ming's combat strength is too strong. With his combat strength, I'm afraid he is only second to Yang Chong, Hu Ye, and Sage Jin. That's right. Apart from those who control divine force, no one can match him. That Ling Hu Yi, I don't know his background, but I feel that he is unfathomable. Many young geniuses discussed and placed Lu Ming in the 2nd tier. The 1st tier was Yang Chong, Hu Ye, and Sage Jin. The 2nd tier was Lu Ming, Ling Hu Yi, and those who had obtained 1st place in their respective battle zones in the 1st round. Baidu search 81 Chinese Websitio. No advertising message. Chapter 2650. After Lu Ming defeated Situ Feng, the number of people in the fighting ring had decreased by more than half. There were only 12 people left out of the original 25. Among the 12 people, there were a few who were still fighting each other. There were also a few who were looking at Lu Ming warily. In addition, Yang Chong stood with his hands behind his back. He had not made a move yet, and the others were far away from him. You're Lu Ming? You're quite strong. Why don't we work together to get rid of the others? At this moment, a voice rang in Lu Ming's ears. It was Yang Chong's voice. Obviously, Lu Ming's strength had gained Yang Chong's recognition. Now, he had taken the initiative to ask for Lu Ming's cooperation to get rid of the others. This way, both of them could enter the top 10. Okay. Lu Ming agreed immediately. After receiving Lu Ming's reply, a cold light flashed in Yang Chong's eyes. He stepped out and walked toward a young man. The young man was shocked and quickly retreated. However, Yang Chong's speed suddenly increased. He appeared in front of the young man and blasted out a palm. Boom! This palm strike was shockingly powerful. Although the young man tried his best to block it, when Yang Chong's palm strike landed on him, his body immediately exploded. He was unable to resist at all. Then, his body condensed on the stone platform, his face pale. It's too scary. Is that the power of divine-grade divine power? The young man still had a look of fear on his face. His god force was a king-grade god force, and it was one of the stronger ones. However, under Yang Chong's saint-grade god force, it couldn't even withstand a single blow. It was crushed like tofu and scattered. Speed incomplete divine skill. Peak level 4. Lu Ming's eyes moved. He could see that Yang Chong had also cultivated an incomplete divine skill and had reached peak level 4. It was stronger than Situ Feng's divine skill. It's my turn. Swoosh. Lu Ming's body was like a rock as he pounced on a young man. His long spear was like a mountain pressing down. That young man could not withstand the attack of Lu Ming's incomplete 5th level of divine skill. His body dissipated from the impact. On the fighting ring, other than Lu Ming and Yang Chong, there were 8 other people. Originally, there were several people who were in the midst of killing each other. At this time, they could not help but stop. The 2 of them want to join forces to kill us. Let's join forces too. That's right. Let's join forces. We are all rank 1 empty god realm martial artists. No matter how strong they are, the 8 of us are not afraid of them. Join hands. On Battle Mountain, 8 youths gathered together. So what if we're working together? Get out of here. Yang Chong was incomparably domineering. Divine power howled as he charged towards them. Lu Ming charged towards the 8 from another direction. Boom, boom. When Yang Chong unleashed his full strength, his strength was indeed astonishing. Holy Divine Power, Peak 4th Tier Attack Type Incomplete Divine Skill, and Peak 4th Tier Speed Type Incomplete Divine Skill, combined together, the attack was like a raging tide. Lu Ming didn't unleash his divine power to the maximum. Instead, he used the God transformation technique to conceal his divine power's level to that of the king grade. Moreover, his cultivation rank was only at the demigod realm, which was slightly weaker. However, Lu Ming's incomplete divine skill had reached the 5th tier and its power was extremely shocking. Every spear strike had 11 tiers of power exploding out, each stronger than the previous one. Although the 8 youths had joined forces, they were no match for Lu Ming and Yang Chong. They were forced to retreat continuously. The battle has been decided. In this battle, Lu Ming and Yang Chong are indeed the strongest. Many people shook their heads. There was no suspense in this battle. Not long after, the 8 youths were forcefully thrown off the fighting ring by Lu Ming and Yang Chong, ending the battle. Lu Ming and Yang Chong were the last to remain. They had already locked in the top 10. Brother Fa Ming, congratulations. Seeing that Lu Ming had entered the top 10, some of the leaders of the forces in the chaotic galaxy congratulated the ancestor of techniques. Their faces were full of flattery. Some of them had just been sucking up to Situ Haonan, but in the blink of an eye, they were sucking up to the ancestor of techniques. Kong Ji and Situ Haonan's faces were extremely ugly. Lu Ming had entered the top 10. It was certain that he would join one of the 3 overlords. Even if Situ Feng could also join one of the 3 overlords, he would not be valued as highly as Lu Ming. How could he compete with Lu Ming? The two of them were already panicking. Lu Ming and Yang Chong locked in the top 10 and left the fighting ring. Then, the next group of 25 people entered the ring. This time, Huya was the focus of attention. There was also a person who had won first place in a battle zone in the first round. These 2 people were the strongest on the surface. The result was not too surprising. After a fierce battle, Huya and that genius had entered the top 10. Then, there was the third group. In this group, Jin Shang had won without a doubt. In addition, there was also a beautiful woman who had unexpectedly defeated a person who had won first place in a battle zone in the first round and entered the top 10. In the fourth group, Ling Huyi entered the ring. In this battle, Ling Huyi displayed a terrifying battle strength that shocked everyone. The divine power that Ling Huyi controlled was only ordinary divine power. He was the only one who could do so among the current participants. However, the incomplete divine skill that he had just displayed was truly frightening. It was an incomplete speed-type divine skill that was at the peak of the 5th level. It was an incomplete offensive divine skill that was also at the peak of the 5th level. The combination of the two allowed him to win and defeat one strong opponent after another. Both of his incomplete divine skills have reached the peak of the 5th level. This level of comprehension is simply too shocking. What a terrifying level of comprehension! Everyone exclaimed in surprise. The eyes of the Qin Tian 13 sect's experts lit up. For a large sect like the Qin Tian 13 sects, comprehension was extremely important. Although the divine power that Ling Huyi controlled was only ordinary divine power, it was still very important. But what did it matter? The Qin Tian 13 sects had their own divine skills and techniques. As long as one cultivated the divine skills and techniques to an extremely high level, one's divine power would naturally increase. As long as one's comprehension was heaven-defying, there were divine skills and techniques in the 3 overlords that could even increase one's divine power to the divine grade. The experts of the Qin Tian 13 sects were already planning in their hearts how to invite Ling Huyi. Of course, Lu Ming, Yang Chong, Jin Shang, and Huya were among the people that they had invited. The 5th group's battle ended very quickly. The top 10 were born. However, the battle still had to continue. Since they were going to compete, they naturally had to determine who was better. Moreover, the experts of the Qin Tian 13 sects also wanted to see if there were any remaining people who had held back their strength. Next, the 10 of you will fight in pairs. The odds are also random. Begin, the middle-aged man announced. As soon as his voice fell, 2 people's bodies shone brightly. One of them was Ling Huyi, and the other was the person who had won first place in a battle zone in the first round. The 2 of them did not say much and directly attacked. Ling Huyi's opponent also possessed decent strength. He had also cultivated 2 incomplete divine skills. Both of them had reached the peak of the 4th level. Furthermore, The divine power that he possessed was an extremely frightening royal-grade divine power. The two of them exchanged more than 100 moves. In the end, Ling Huyi came out on top and defeated his opponent. Baidu Search Dong 81 Chinese Network. No advertising message. Chapter 26:51. It was Lu Ming's turn in the second round. Lu Ming's opponent was also someone who ranked first in one of the battle zones in the first round. This person also controlled a terrifying king-grade divine power, and he also had 2 incomplete divine skills that had reached the peak of the 4th stage. However, Lu Ming had displayed an incomplete divine skill that had reached the 5th stage. Naturally, his opponent was no match for him. After a fierce battle, Lu Ming blasted his opponent off the stage. Following that, Jin Shang, Hu Ye, and Yang Chong defeated their opponents one by one. It seemed like half of the matches could be arranged. Lu Ming, Ling Huyi, Yang Chong, Hu Ye, and Jin Shang did not meet. However, there were still 5 people left. They would eventually clash. The pinnacle showdown is about to begin. Everyone was looking forward to it. Following that, Lu Ming, Ling Huyi, Yang Chong, Jin Shang, and Hu Ye would have to fight. This was going to be the pinnacle showdown. Who do you think is the strongest among the 5? I think that Jin Shang, Hu Ye, and Yang Chong should be in the top 3. Lu Ming is slightly stronger than Ling Huyi, and Ling Huyi is the weakest. I think so too. Although Jin Shang, Hu Ye, and Yang Chong's understanding of incomplete divine skills are not as good as Lu Ming and Ling Huyi's, they have mastered saint-grade divine power. Their power is limitless. That's right. In terms of future potential, it's hard to say who is stronger, but for now, Lu Ming and Ling Huyi are at a disadvantage in terms of divine power. I'm afraid that they are not a match for Yang Chong, Jin Shang, and Hu Ye. Many people were discussing who would win. Most of them thought that Jin Shang, Hu Ye, and Yang Chong would be the top 3. Lu Ming and Ling Huyi would not be a match for the 3 of them. It's hard to say. What if Ling Huyi and Lu Ming are still holding back? Suddenly, a voice rang out. You're still holding back? Are you saying that the incomplete divine skill they have comprehended is even more profound? Not bad. That shouldn't be possible. To be able to comprehend an incomplete divine skill to this level in just a little more than 3 years is already shocking enough. In history, not many people have been able to do this. That's right. I think they've already done their best. Most people shook their heads in objection. They believed that Lu Ming and Ling Huyi wouldn't have held back. All right, let's begin the final battle. There are still 5 of you, so I'll randomly pick one of you to have a bye. The other 4 will fight each other. In the sky, the middle-aged man spoke again. Then, he waved his hand, and the jade talisman above Jin Shang's head lit up. For this round, Jin Shang will have a bye. The other 4 are free to choose their opponents. The middle-aged man said, this competition was just a test for the Qin Tian 13 sects to recruit disciples. There were experts from the Qin Tian 13 sects observing, so there was no need to be so fair. The rules were more casual. As long as they displayed their strength, the experts from the Qin Tian 13 sects would be able to see who was stronger and who was weaker. I'll go first. Yang Chong jumped onto the stage first. His gaze swept past Lu Ming, Hu Ye, and Ling Huyi before landing on Ling Huyi. Ling Huyi, your comprehension is very high, but your divine power is too weak. Fight with me. I want to see if you're still hiding your strength. Yang Chong said, as you wish. Ling Huyi stepped into the air and grabbed the air. A long sword appeared in his hand. Boom. Without saying anything, Yang Chong attacked. His body was covered in scarlet divine power, making him look like a god of the sun. The violent saint-grade divine power combined with the peak 4th level of the speed-type divine skill allowed his speed to reach the extreme. In the blink of an eye, he leaped across the fighting ring and neared Ling Huyi. Then, a violent palm energy poured down on Ling Huyi like an avalanche. The incomplete divine skill that Yang Chong had chosen was a perfect match for his divine power. It was scorching, violent, and extremely powerful. Clang! The sound of a sword rang out and sword chi soared into the sky. Ling Huyi slashed out more than a dozen times, and every sword light slashed onto Yang Chong's palm force. However, The sword light trembled and was shattered by Yang Cheng's palm force. The terrifying palm force exploded and rushed towards Ling Huyi. Ling Huyi's body was as light as a feather. He retreated to the edge of the stage to avoid Yang Cheng's palm force. Ling Huyi is no match for him, someone exclaimed. Ling Huyi's divine power is still too weak. Ordinary divine power, be it in terms of strength or power, cannot compete with Saint divine power. Indeed, even if his incomplete divine skills level of attainment is higher, it's still not that high. It's useless. I told you, he should be the weakest among the five. Many people were discussing. Ling Huyi, if this is all you've got, then let's end this, Yang Cheng said. His body was like a blazing meteor as he rushed towards Ling Huyi. A fiery red palm print, 10 meters long and wide, rushed towards Ling Huyi. However, Ling Huyi's expression remained calm. There was no trace of panic on her face. He raised the long sword in his hand, and it vibrated at a strange frequency. Whoosh! Then, Ling Huyi suddenly slashed out with his sword. A sword ray burst forth explosively. It was extremely bright and dazzling as it collided with Yang Cheng's palm strike. Boom! A terrifying explosion resounded in all directions. Yang Cheng's palm force was blocked, and it continued to vibrate. What was more shocking was that the crowd saw that Yang Cheng's palm force was cut apart by Ling Huyi's sword light. Bam! In the end, Yang Cheng's palm force was split into two, and Ling Huyi's sword light also dissipated. He blocked it. The crowd was shocked. Ling Huyi had blocked Yang Cheng's palm force. Yang Cheng's divine power was Saint-grade divine power. Combined with the fourth level of the incomplete divine skill, the power of his palm force was shocking. However, Ling Huyi had blocked Yang Cheng's palm force with his ordinary divine power. How is this possible? The sixth level, this is the sixth level of the incomplete divine skill. Someone exclaimed in disbelief. Oh my God! Ling Huyi has cultivated the incomplete divine skill to the sixth level. How is this possible? Many people exclaimed in disbelief. One had to know that Yang Cheng, Jin Shang, and Hu Ye, who had Saint-grade divine power, had only cultivated the incomplete divine skill to the peak of the fourth level. It had only been 3 years since Su Imo had cultivated the divine skill to the sixth level. This level of comprehension was too terrifying. The sixth level. The experts of the Qin Tian 13 sects stared at Ling Huyi with sparkling eyes. They were determined to get their hands on this terrifying level of comprehension. I didn't expect you to have cultivated the incomplete offensive divine skill to the sixth level. Yang Cheng's eyes were solemn. The sixth level of the incomplete divine skill was already comparable to his. However, you will still lose. Yang Cheng roared and his divine power burst forth. His burly body charged towards Ling Huyi, and his palms continued to attack Ling Huyi. Chapter 26:52. Yang Cheng unleashed his strength to the maximum. His palm whistled and the entire fighting stage was enveloped by his palm. However, when his palm energy was about to land, he lost track of Ling Huyi. Ling Huyi, who was standing at the edge of the fighting ring, suddenly appeared behind Yang Cheng. What amazing speed! Many people were shocked once again. Swoosh! Swoosh! Ling Huyi's long sword whistled and slashed at Yang Cheng. Yang Cheng's pupils shrank sharply. His divine power surged and set up layers of defense around his body. At the same time, he suddenly turned around and waved his palm. His palm energy collided with Ling Huyi's sword light, and then he took the opportunity to attack Ling Huyi. However, Ling Huyi's body shifted again. She moved away from Yang Cheng and appeared on Yang Cheng's left side. So fast, this speed is amazing. The sixth level of the speed-type divine skill. Someone exclaimed again. What? Everyone was shocked. The sixth level of the speed-type divine skill. Ling Huyi had cultivated the sixth level of the speed-type divine skill. How is this possible? In just 3 short years, he had managed to cultivate 2 incomplete godly skills to the 6th layer. His talent could no longer be described as monstrous. Both of them have reached the 6th tier of the deity realm. Impressive. Even Lu Ming could not help but exclaim. He did not expect that there would be someone like him who could cultivate 2 incomplete divine skills to the 6th level in just 3 years. There were indeed countless geniuses in the elemental universe. The heaven domain and the primordial realm could not compare. He was definitely the first person in the heaven domain and the primordial realm. No one in history could compare to him. Even the ancestor of techniques, who created the nomological system, was far from him. His talent was also unmatched. However, in the elemental universe, he met someone who could compare to him. At least, in terms of comprehension, Ling Hu Yi was not inferior to him. This was the disciple recruitment of the Qin Tian 13 sects every 1,000 years. How many abnormal geniuses had been born over the years? Interesting. This is what makes it interesting. Lu Ming's eyes lit up as he began to look forward to it. This was the world he was looking forward to. In the primordial realm of the heaven realm, there was no one among his peers who could match him. However, in the desolate universe, he was nothing compared to his peers. However, only when there was an opponent would there be passion and motivation. Good fellow. The experts from the Qin Heavenly 13 sects also let out a long sigh as greed flashed in their eyes. With such an abnormal comprehension ability, if he were to cultivate the divine arts of their sect, he would definitely be able to rise up in the future. What kind of pervert is this? At that moment, Yang Chong himself was also extremely astonished. He tried his best to attack, but he couldn't hit Ling Hu Yi at all. Ling Hu Ye's speed was far above his, and with the addition of the 6th level offensive divine skill, their combined power was shocking. The two continued to exchange blows, but Yang Chong was at a disadvantage. Most importantly, he couldn't hit Ling Hu Yi, but Ling Hu Yi could hit him. In this way, the two exchanged more than 100 blows. In the end, Ling Hu Yi came out on top and defeated Yang Chong. Ling Hu Yi won. I didn't expect this. I really didn't expect this. I was wrong. It seems like Ling Hu Yi has a chance to win. However, Jin Shang is not as good as Yang Chong. Jin Shang's defensive power is amazing and can restrain him. That's right. It seems like Lu Ming is the weakest among the 5. Indeed. Ling Hu Ye's victory over Yang Chong was indeed beyond everyone's expectations. Ling Hu Yi looked calm as he stepped down from the fighting ring. Boom. As soon as Ling Hu Yi stepped down, a figure rushed down the battle stage and landed heavily on it, causing the entire battle stage to rumble. Lu Ming, come down and face your death. Hu Ye's eyes were like lightning as he glanced at Lu Ming. His voice reverberated throughout the area. Lu Ming stepped out and landed on the fighting ring, facing Hu Ye. I've said that if you meet me, I'll make sure you die a horrible death. Hu Ye's voice was cold with a hint of ferocity. Previously, the other tigermen also said the same thing to me. In the end, I found that they were all trash. In my opinion, you're no exception. Lu Ming said indifferently, this kid is courting death. He doesn't know what's good for him. If it weren't for my cultivation being suppressed, I could kill him with a flip of my hand. After hearing Lu Ming's words, some tigermen were enraged and almost vomited blood. They all looked at Lu Ming with murderous intent. This Lu Ming is really arrogant. From what he said, he's implying that Hu Ye is trash. Indeed, he's arrogant enough. However, he'll probably have to face Hu Ye's stormy attacks. Some people were discussing. Sure enough, Hu Ye's eyes emitted a cold, murderous intent. Roar. Hu Ye roared like a giant tiger. The muscles on his body bulged and terrifying saint-grade divine force erupted. He stomped on the ground and charged towards Lu Ming. Swish. Hu Ye's fingers turned into claws and clawed at Lu Ming, wanting to tear him apart. Lu Ming used his sovereign god force to form a long spear and stabbed at Hu Ye's claws. The two collided for more than a dozen times and retreated at the same time. Hu Ye had cultivated 2 incomplete divine skills. One was a speed type and the other was an attack type. Both were at the peak of the 4th level. Adding his saint-grade divine force, his battle strength wasn't any weaker than Yang Chong's. Roar. Hu Ye roared and launched a storm of attacks at Lu Ming. His speed was shocking. He wanted to suppress Lu Ming with his speed and then tear Lu Ming apart with his violent attacks. Lu Ming kept waving his spear to defend, but he was still at a disadvantage. After all, Lu Ming's current divine power was only that of king-grade divine power. Lu Ming really isn't Hu Ya's opponent. That's right, Lu Ming's divine force is at the king grade. Moreover, it's an extremely powerful king-grade divine force. Moreover, his attack-type divine skill has reached the peak of the 5th level. In terms of attack power, he isn't much weaker than Hu Ya. However, his incomplete speed-type divine skill is also at the peak of the 4th level, but his divine force is weaker than Hu Ya's. He's destined to be suppressed. That's right, in terms of overall strength, Lu Ming is still a little weaker. Some people discussed as they watched the battle. Competing in speed? Then I'll show you what speed is. At this time, Lu Ming's cold voice sounded. In the next moment, Lu Ming's figure soared into the sky like a great pong. Swish, swish. The sky was filled with Lu Ming's figure and Lu Ming's spear shadows. At this moment, countless spear shadows pierced toward Hu Ya from all directions. This speed, Hu Ya's heart shook. He tried his best to defend, but he realized that there were too many spear shadows around him. He couldn't block all of them. Block! Hu Ya roared and covered his body with his saint-grade divine force, forming a divine force shield. Boom, boom, boom. Lu Ming's spear shadows continuously pierced Hu Ya's divine force shield. The shield shook violently, and after more than 100 hits, the shield exploded. Hu Ya screamed as his body was pierced by Lu Ming's spear shadows, and he died on the spot. Chapter 26:53. After Hu Ya was killed, he reappeared on a stone platform. His face was dark as he stared at Lu Ming. His murderous intent was even more intense than before. I have said that you are the same as the Tiger Men. Trash. Lu Ming looked at Hu Ya with disdain. Creak. Hu Ya gritted his teeth as he stared at Lu Ming. His murderous intent was even more intense. Lu Ming, I'll definitely kill you. It's just that my cultivation level is suppressed here. Otherwise, I'll be able to kill you with one finger. Hu Ya screamed in his heart. That was true. Lu Ming was only a demigod. In his eyes, Lu Ming was just an ant. As the supreme talent of the Tiger Men, Hu Ya's cultivation had reached rank 9 empty god realm. He was not far from the true god realm. With his cultivation and divine power, he would not be afraid even if he met a true god realm expert, let alone Lu Ming. However, he could not use his full strength here. Hu Ya actually lost? He lost so easily? At that moment, everyone who was watching the fight was dumbfounded. They saw that Lu Ming's speed had suddenly increased. In an instant, he had attacked many times and defeated Hu Ya. That speed is simply too shocking. Lu Ming actually hid his abilities. Which level of the incomplete speed divine skill is that? It feels like it has increased by a lot. Is the 5th level so powerful? Could it be the 6th level? Towards the end, many people found it inconceivable. Incomplete speed skill, 6th level. Great. At that moment, an expert from the Mystic Academy spoke. His eyes were filled with amazement. Gosh, it really is the 6th level. Lu Ming also has an incomplete speed skill, and he has reached the 6th level. He is almost as smart as Ling Huyi. If that is the case, Lu Ming is more powerful than Ling Huyi. Does that mean that he will be the champion? It's hard to say. He might be fast, but his offensive prowess is similar to Hu Ya's. I'm afraid that he won't be able to break through Jin Sheng's defense. This is shocking enough. There are too many geniuses with terrifying comprehension abilities this year. Moreover, he's from the chaotic galaxy. At the scene, many people were shocked. This comprehension ability, the people of the chaotic galaxy were all stunned. The Cloud Peak Pavilion Master was overjoyed. The stronger the chaotic galaxy's geniuses were, the more rewards he would receive. Only Kong Ji and Situ Haonan's expressions were extremely ugly. Their eyes were filled with killing intent, but there was also fear. Ha ha ha. The ancestor of techniques was naturally overjoyed. On the stone stage, Ling Huyi and Jin Sheng looked at Lu Ming with a solemn expression. Lu Ming retreated to the fighting ring. Now, only Lu Ming, Ling Huyi, and Jin Sheng were left. Only the 3 of you are left. Originally, the leaders of the 13 sects had already seen your strength. Actually, you don't need to continue fighting. However, I believe that a lot of people are curious as to who exactly is stronger among the three of you. How about this? The three of you will take turns to fight and see who is stronger. Jin Sheng, Ling Huyi, the two of you will fight first. The burly man in the air said. Jin Sheng and Ling Huyi nodded and appeared on the fighting ring in a flash. Come. Jin Sheng's eyes glowed with a golden light. Boom. Divine power boiled in his body. At the same time, his muscles bulged and the color of his body changed. His body turned into a metallic luster. The most shocking thing was that a layer of armor appeared on the surface of his body. This layer of armor was formed by combining divine power with a defensive divine skill. It was like an armor made of diamond and gave off an indestructible feeling. The Vajra clan was best at defense. Their defense was much stronger than the Tortoise clan's. Kill. Jin Sheng roared and rushed toward Ling Huyi. Whoosh. Whoosh. Ling Huyi's figure moved and easily dodged Sage Jin's attack. Ling Huyi's incomplete speed divine skill had been cultivated to the 6th level. On the other hand, Jin Sheng did not cultivate any speed divine skill at all. In terms of speed, he was much slower than Ling Huyi and could not attack Ling Huyi at all. Seeing that his attack did not hit, Jin Sheng stopped attacking. Whoosh. Since Jin Sheng did not attack, Ling Huyi attacked. His body was like a bolt of lightning as he charged toward Jin Sheng. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of sword lights pierced toward Jin Sheng. Clang, clang, clang. In an instant, hundreds of sword lights from Ling Huyi pierced Jin Sheng's body. However, they could not break through Jin Sheng's defense and were completely blocked. Ling Huyi, this is not enough. It's not enough. Jin Sheng grinned. Whoosh, whoosh. Ling Huyi did not say a word and continued to attack. In the sky, countless sword lights appeared and pierced toward Jin Sheng. However, it was useless. The sword lights stopped and Jin Sheng was unharmed. Ha ha ha, Ling Huyi, you're just tickling me. Jin Sheng laughed. Ling Huyi retreated with a gloomy face and did not continue to attack. It seems like this battle will end in a draw. That's right. Ling Huyi's comprehension is superb and no one can compare to him. It's a pity that his divine power is a little weak. If he has King Grey divine power, he might be able to break through Jin Sheng's defense. That's right. Based on the current situation, the battle between Lu Ming and Jin Sheng should be a draw. It will be difficult to determine the winner between the three of them. That's true. Many people sighed. It was not that Ling Huyi was weak, but that Jin Sheng's defense was too abnormal. Moreover, he cultivated an incomplete divine skill. However, speed was Jin Sheng's weakness. He could not catch up to Ling Huyi. This battle could only be considered a draw. All right, this battle is a draw. Take a rest and enter the next battle. Jin Sheng versus Lu Ming. The middle-aged man announced. Ling Huyi retreated. Jin Sheng sat cross-legged on the battle platform and absorbed the energy of the divine crystals to recover his divine power. Soon, Jin Sheng stood up. All right, Jin Sheng said. Lu Ming, you can go up. The middle-aged man looked at Lu Ming. Lu Ming nodded and stepped onto the battle platform. Lu Ming, you can't break through my defense. This battle will end in a draw at most. Jin Sheng said. How would you know if we don't fight? Lu Ming smiled faintly. If you don't want to give up, then let's fight. Jin Sheng shouted coldly. His divine power burst forth as he activated his divine skill. A layer of diamond-like armor covered his entire body. Whoosh! Lu Ming rushed out and swept out his spear. Break! Jin Sheng threw a punch at Lu Ming's spear. However, Lu Ming moved and appeared behind Jin Sheng. His spear struck Jin Sheng's body. In an instant, 11 layers of strength erupted. Boom! Boom! Jin Sheng's body trembled a few times, but he managed to withstand the attack. Whoosh! Whoosh! Lu Ming's strength changed as he stabbed continuously. The tip of the spear pierced Jin Sheng's body, but it was still blocked by Jin Sheng. Chapter 2654. Ha ha ha, Lu Ming, I've said it before. No matter how fast you are, you won't be able to break through my defense. Sage Jin laughed. Lu Ming can't break through Sage Jin's defense. The difference in strength isn't that big. Sage Jean is invincible. His defense is too strong. Many people sighed, thinking that this battle would end in a draw. Sage Jean, your defense is indeed strong. But how do you know that this is my strongest combat power? At this moment, Lu Ming's voice was heard. What? Sage Jean was taken aback. Let's see if you can block this spear of mine. Lu Ming took a step back and charged towards Sage Jean. His long spear shook and turned into dozens of spear radiances, thrusting towards Sage Jean. However, just as his spear radiances were about to hit Sage Jean, the dozens of spear radiances merged and turned into a single spear radiance, thrusting towards Sage Jean. Poof! An ear-piercing sound was heard, as if a layer of leather had been pierced through. Then, Sage Jean let out a roar as his body flew far away and fell to the ground. That is, everyone's pupils shrank. Sage Jin's defense had been broken through. There was a hole in Jin Shang's heart. It was penetrating from the front to the back. It was the hole that Lu Ming had pierced through earlier. The 6th level, your incomplete divine skill has already been cultivated to the 6th level. Sage Jean struggled to get up and shouted in disbelief. Level 6. Everyone was shocked and their faces were filled with disbelief. Lu Ming had also cultivated his incomplete offensive divine skill to level 6. His speed type and attack type divine skills had all been cultivated to the 6th level, the same as Ling Hu Yi. This was heaven-defying. This time, there were 2 such heaven-defying people. One should know that the further one cultivated an incomplete divine skill, the harder it would be to cultivate it and the more powerful it would be. Like Sage Jean, Yang Chong, and Hu Ya, they were all existences that controlled divine powers. To be able to control divine powers, their comprehension was definitely not bad. However, they had only cultivated to the peak of level 4, which was a far cry from level 6. Many people found it hard to believe, but they knew that this was the truth. Otherwise, it would be impossible to break through Sage Jin's defense. Ling Hu Yi couldn't break through it because his divine power was too low. However, Lu Ming's divine power wasn't low. Amazing, amazing! What a terrifying comprehension. His future is limitless. Many people exclaimed, our indestructible sword sect must have such a person. An invincible Kenzo expert suddenly. You invincible Kenzo? Ridiculous. My Mystic Academy will take him. In my opinion, our Wuliang Sacred Court is more suitable for him. At this moment, the 3 overlords experts. These experts were not to be underestimated. They had seen through some unusual things. They felt that Lu Ming hadn't used his full strength yet. Although Lu Ming had used the soul-changing art to hide the characteristics and level of his sovereign realm divine power, these experts were too sharp. They could vaguely feel that Lu Ming's divine power was unfathomable and high above others. Therefore, they all spoke. Many people were tongue-tied. Some of the youths were so envious that they wanted to die. The examination wasn't over yet, but the 3 overlords were already trying to snatch people. Others couldn't join the 3 overlords even if they broke their heads. However, Lu Ming was now a hot steamed bun. He could choose from any of the 3 overlords. This kind of treatment was like heaven and earth. It would be strange if they weren't envious. Monster, monster. I didn't think that my chaotic astral river would have such a monster. Brother F.A., congratulations. Brother F.A., please forgive me if I've done anything inconsiderate in the past. In the chaotic astral river, some of the faction leaders had already started to curry favor with F.A. Ming, especially those who had conflicts with the ancestor of techniques. They were all smiling apologetically and flattering him. What a joke. Lu Ming would definitely join the 3 overlords. Moreover, he would be put in an important position. The righteous army's influence would definitely rise. As for Kang Ji and Situ Haonan, their eyes were filled with fear. Various thoughts flashed through their minds as they began to think about what to do next. Do you still want to fight? Lu Ming looked at King Kong. No. Since you've broken through my defense, I admit defeat. King Kong shook his head and returned to the stone platform. Lu Ming had won this battle. Now, there was one last battle. Lu Ming against Ling Hu Yi. Lu Ming, do you need to rest? The middle-aged man asked. No need. Lu Ming shook his head. Okay. The middle-aged man nodded and looked at Ling Hu Yi. Ling Hu Yi, do you still want to fight? He asked this because in terms of strength, Ling Hu Yi wasn't Lu Ming's match. The two of them had comprehended similar incomplete divine skills, but Lu Ming's cultivation was slightly weaker. He was a demigod. However, Lu Ming's divine power was much higher than Ling Hu Ye's. His overall strength was still higher than Ling Hu Ye's. Fight. Ling Hu Ye's reply was very simple as he jumped onto the platform. Ling Hu Ye actually accepted the challenge. I'm afraid he won't be able to match Lu Ming. Some people discussed. In the dreamscape, divine weapons couldn't be used. Some secret techniques couldn't be used either. In a situation where one's strength was weaker, one could only rely on combat skills and awareness. If Ling Hu Ye wanted to win, his combat skills and awareness would be far above Lu Ming's. But obviously, this was impossible. Whoosh! Whoosh! The two moved at the same time and engaged in a fierce battle. Ling Hu Ye's combat skills and awareness were very strong, shockingly strong. However, Lu Ming wasn't weak at all. He was even stronger than Ling Hu Ye. There was no suspense in this battle. After a dozen moves, Ling Hu Ye was hit by Lu Ming. He spat out blood and retreated. You lost, Lu Ming said lightly. Lu Ming, I lost today because my divine power was not high enough. If my divine power was high enough, I wouldn't have lost. Ling Hu Ye said with a gloomy face. This time, he had thought that he could sweep away all the heroes and take first place. He didn't expect to be defeated by Lu Ming. He was somewhat unwilling to accept this. Although this was just an assessment, he wouldn't allow himself to be defeated. Lu Ming smiled faintly and didn't say anything. Lu Ming, how about we fight again 1,000 years later? Ling Hu Ye continued to speak and issued a challenge. Any time. Lu Ming said. All right, 1,000 years later, you and I will fight. I will definitely defeat you. Ling Hu Ye was full of confidence. As long as he obtained the divine skill, the level of his divine power would continue to increase. He could even cultivate to the peak and condense divine-grade divine power. All right, this assessment is over, the middle-aged man announced in the air. Many people's hearts trembled. The main event was about to begin. The assessment was over. Now was the time to join the Qin Tian 13 sects. Many young people couldn't help but feel nervous. Chapter 26:55. Those who had been eliminated in the first round were especially nervous. In theory, they also had a chance to join the Qin Tian 13 sects, but that depended on luck. If they were unlucky, they wouldn't be able to join. This concerned their future. How could they not be nervous? Lu Ming, the invincible Kenzo sincerely invites you to join us. Lu Ming, the Mystic Academy welcomes you. The boundless sacred ground welcomes you to join us. The elites of the three overlords opened their mouths one after another and invited Lu Ming. Although the top 10 sects were very tempted, they sighed and didn't say anything when they saw the invitations from the three overlords. They understood that since the three overlords had already spoken, they had no hope. Even if they spoke, it would be useless. Everyone's eyes fell on Lu Ming. They were all guessing which overlord force Lu Ming would choose to join. However, Lu Ming frowned slightly. Since he had already promised the ancestor of techniques that he would join the Kongxian school, he naturally wouldn't change his mind. Moreover, the Kongxian school was ranked first among the top 10 sections. Even if it wasn't as strong as the three overlords, it wasn't too far off. He didn't choose? He's probably hesitating. Which one of the three overlords should he choose? If it were me, I would hesitate too. Stop dreaming. Most people thought that Lu Ming didn't know which overlord force he should choose at the moment. Lu Ming, if you join the invincible Kenzo, given your talent, I'm sure someone important will take a liking to you and accept you as a disciple. You have to consider it carefully. The elite from the invincible Kenzo spoke again. Nonsense. Isn't it normal for someone with such talent to be taken a liking to him? Lu Ming, I see that your fighting style is very similar to the Mystic Academies. Joining the Mystic Academy is your best choice. The Mystic Academy is really shameless. What do you mean by similar fighting styles? How can you say something like that? Lu Ming, the boundless sacred ground is your best choice. The competition started to escalate. The elites of the three overlords were already swearing. Seniors, Lu Ming suddenly spoke up. He cupped his fists at the elites of the three overlords and said, Lu Ming is appreciated by all of you. However, I'm afraid that Lu Ming cannot join the Invincible Kinzo, the Mystic Academy, and the Boundless Sacred Ground. What? As soon as he said Linza's words, everyone. Lu Ming actually rejected the invitations of the three overlord forces at the same time? Had he gone mad? The three overlords were the strongest forces in the Qin Tian star zone, aside from a few ancient races. Many people had tried their best to get in but failed. Lu Ming had actually rejected them? Most of the people were shocked. However, Kang Ji and Situ Haonan were ecstatic. Ha ha ha. This kid is so talented, but he turned out to be an idiot. He actually rejected the three overlords. Idiot. He's really an idiot. Not only can he not join the three overlords, but he'll also offend the elites of the three overlords. Kang Ji and Situ Haonan laughed wildly in their hearts. They were overjoyed. Did I do the right thing? The ancestor of technique sighed in his heart. He felt guilty towards Lu Ming. If it weren't for his request, Lu Ming would most likely have chosen to join the three overlords. As expected, the elites of the three overlords were displeased. Lu Ming, you'd better think it through. That's right. Think it through before you speak. The elites of the three overlords spoke out one after another. Seniors, Lu Ming can only thank all of you for your kindness. Lu Ming cupped his fists and rejected them again. The elites of the three overlords were a little gloomy. Humph, you don't know your place. Stubborn. Some of the elites of the three overlords were displeased. If Lu Ming had chosen one of the three overlords, it would have been fine. However, Lu Ming and the other two overlords had rejected all of them, which made them lose face. However, the elites of the top 10 sects were overjoyed. This was because they had a chance. Lu Ming, the Kongxian school sincerely invites you to join us. The Chonglu sect welcomes you. The Flying Snow sect sincerely invites you. The top 10 sects all opened their mouths to Lu Ming and invited Lu Ming to join them. Lu Ming's gaze swept across the elites of the top 10 sects and finally fell on the elites of the Kongxian school. Junior Lu Ming is willing to join the Kongxian school. Lu Ming cupped his fists and said, he joined the Kongxian school. Someone shouted. However, more people were puzzled. Why did Lu Ming choose to join the Kongxian school instead of the three overlords? Although the Kongxian school was ranked first among the top 10 sects, it was still inferior to the three overlords. Why did he choose the Kongxian school instead of the three overlords? Maybe he's on good terms with the Kongxian school. Many people guessed. The elites of the Kongxian school, on the other hand, were ecstatic. They didn't expect that Lu Ming would choose the Kongxian school in the end. Good, good, good. Come here. The elites of the Kongxian school nodded repeatedly and were overjoyed. Senior, I have a request. A few of my friends want to join the Kongxian school together. Please fulfill my request. Lu Ming said, a few friends. No problem. Who are they? The elites of the Kongxian school said. Lu Ming looked at Xian Yinqing, Xian Yinjuan, and Tong Shi'er. Xian Yinqing stepped forward and stood beside Lu Ming. I'm willing to join the Kongxian school, Xian Yinqing said. Xian Yinjuan's eyes flickered. He also stepped forward and came to Lu Ming's side, but he didn't say anything. Okay, sure, of course. The elites of the Kongxian school nodded. Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan's performance just now was also very good. He naturally wouldn't disagree. Lu Ming, I want to join the Golden Pool sect, one of the top 10 sections. The divine power that I cultivate is more suitable for the Golden Pool sect. At this moment, Tong Shi'er transmitted her voice to Lu Ming. Lu Ming nodded. He naturally respected Tong Shi'er's choice. Then, Lu Ming, Xian Yinqing, and Xian Yinjuan came to the Kongxian school area. Ling Huyi, the Invincible Kinzo invites you to join us. The Mystic Academy, the immeasurable sacred ground. Then, the three overlord forces began to invite Ling Huyi. Ling Huyi's comprehension was also shockingly high. Although his divine power level was still low, they still thought highly of him. They all sent out invitations to Ling Huyi. I'll join the Invincible Kinzo, Ling Huyi said, and chose the invincible Kinzo. The elites of the invincible Kinzo were overjoyed. Good. As long as you cultivate well, I guarantee that after 1,000 years, you'll be able to trample that Lu Ming under your feet. The elite of the invincible Kinzo said and glanced at Lu Ming unhappily. Lu Ming smiled faintly and didn't say anything. It's too early to say that now. The elite of the Kongxian school replied coldly. Lu Ming was now a member of the Kongxian school. The elite of the Kongxian school naturally had to protect him. Moreover, although the Kongxian school wasn't as strong as the invincible Kinzo, they weren't afraid. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.